When I was a young man, people told me that the strongest countries are those with the biggest guns and the largest armies. They told me that power comes from fear. But today, my friends, that thinking is outdated. Today, the world has changed. Power does not come from fear. It comes from knowledge, from innovation, from technology. Recently, the world was shocked when American jets, symbols of global dominance, were stopped at the Indian border. And many people asked, how is this possible? How can a developing nation, once considered poor and dependent, stop the most advanced technology of a superpower? The answer is simple innovation and preparation. In the past, if you had more tanks, you won. If you had more bombs, you controlled the world. But today, it is different. It is not about how many weapons you have. It's about how smart your weapons are. It's about how intelligent your systems are. And India proved this to the world. When people think of power, they often imagine big armies, advanced fighter jets, nuclear weapons. For hundreds of years, this was true. Power belonged to those who had the most guns and the strongest bombs. But today, in the 21st century, the rules have changed. The most powerful nations are no longer the ones with the biggest weapons. They are the ones with the most innovative minds. Look at what happened when American fighter jets were stopped at the Indian border. These jets are among the most advanced machines ever built, backed by decades of research and billions of dollars. For many people, this was unthinkable. How could India, once seen as a developing nation, stand up to such technological dominance? The answer is simple. Innovation beats intimidation. Stopping a jet is not about size, it's about smart systems. It's about radars that can detect stealth technology, algorithms that predict movements, and artificial intelligence that makes decisions faster than a human can blink. It's about software more than hardware. This is the future of power. India understood this early. Instead of spending all its money buying foreign weapons, it started building its own systems, training its own scientists, and developing its own technologies. It invested in knowledge, not fear, and that investment paid off. So, what is the lesson for us? Whether you are a country, a company, or an individual, you must understand this principal strength. Without innovation is weakness in disguise. If you rely only on what you have today, you will lose tomorrow. The world is moving fast. The real battlefield today is in technology, in the mind, not on the ground. Innovation is not just about creating new products, it's about creating smarter solutions. A missile without intelligence is useless. A system that cannot learn is dead. This is why India could stop something that looked unstoppable, because it focused on thinking, not just on fighting. And let me tell you something important. Innovation does not require being the richest or the biggest. It requires curiosity, education, and courage. You don't need to have the biggest military budget. You need to have the best ideas. The most powerful weapon in the world today is knowledge. It does not destroy, it empowers. Think about this. America became powerful because of innovation, because of companies like Boeing, Lockheed Martin, Microsoft. China rose because of innovation. Alibaba, Huawei, Tencent. Now India is showing the same path. It is not about copying others. It is about creating something unique, something better. So if you want to be strong in business, in life, in your country, remember this. Don't fight with force, fight with ideas. Don't compete by being bigger, compete by being smarter. That is the true power of innovation. In the old world, wars were fought with swords, then with guns, and later with missiles. But today, my friends, the battlefield has changed. It's no longer only about soldiers on the ground or jets in the sky. Today's battlefield is invisible. It's in the cloud. It's in the servers. It's in the data. When American jets were stopped at the Indian border, many people assumed it was because of missiles or radars. But let me tell you the truth. It was intelligence that stopped them, not missiles. Data, algorithms, artificial intelligence, these are the new weapons of the 21st century. Think about it. A fighter jet is fast, powerful, and dangerous. But before it even reaches your airspace, what happens? It sends signals. It leaves a digital footprint. If you have the technology to read those signals, analyze patterns, and predict movements, you can stop the threat before it even happens. This is exactly what India did. India didn't just build weapons, it built brains. Systems that learn, that adapt, that calculate millions of possibilities in a fraction of a second. That's what predictive intelligence is. That's why AI and machine learning are not just for apps or e-commerce. They are now the core of national security. Let me give you a perspective. In the past, if you had 1,000 tanks, you could win a battle. Today, if you have the right data, you can win a war without firing a single bullet. Look at companies like Google, Amazon, Alibaba. They don't have tanks, but they are more powerful than many countries because they own data. That same principle applies to nations. The one who controls information controls the future. India understood this. It invested in cybersecurity, AI research, and quantum communication. While others focused on buying more weapons, India focused on building secure networks, creating AI-driven defense systems, and training the next generation of cyber warriors. Why is this important? Because the cost of losing a cyber war is far greater than losing a physical war. If your systems are hacked, your communication is gone, your economy stops, your military becomes blind. So, in this new era, the first missile is not a rocket, it's a line of code. Young people must understand this shift. If you want to serve your country, you don't have to carry a gun. You can carry a laptop. You can build algorithms that protect borders, create software that saves lives, and innovate systems that keep your nation safe. The future wars will not be fought by soldiers alone. They will be fought by coders, engineers, and innovators. This is why data and intelligence are the new battlefield. For many years, countries believed that security comes from buying the best weapons from the most powerful nations. If you needed tanks, you bought them from abroad. If you needed fighter jets, you imported them. But let me tell you something. Dependence is weakness, not strength. When your safety depends on someone else's permission, you are not truly free. India understood this truth and made a bold decision. It chose self-reliance. It said, we will not depend only on foreign technology. We will build our own systems, our own radars, our own defense solutions. That is why today, when a superpower sends its most advanced jets toward the Indian border, India has the confidence to stop them, not because it bought something from another country, but because it built something of its own. This is the real power of self-reliance. It is not about pride, it is about security, stability, and independence. Because if your technology is imported, then in times of crisis, you are at the mercy of the supplier. What if they refuse to sell you spare parts? What if they shut down your system remotely? You become vulnerable. But if you build your own, nobody can control you. Nobody can disable you. Nobody can dictate terms to you. This is why India's Make in India initiative is more than an economic policy. It is a strategic weapon. By developing indigenous missile systems, radar technology, AI-based defense, and cybersecurity solutions, India is telling the world we can stand on our own feet. And let me share an important lesson here. Self-reliance is not just for nations, it is for individuals too. If you depend on someone else for your future, your success, your income, you are not in control of your life. The same principle applies to countries. A dependent nation will always be weak, no matter how much money it spends. Do you know why the world respects America? Because it builds its own technology. Why does China rise so fast? Because it focuses on creating its own ecosystems, not just importing. And now India is on the same path. It has invested in research, in startups, in innovation labs. It has encouraged young entrepreneurs to build technology for defense, not just for entertainment. That is why the incident at the border is not just a military success. It is a statement to the world. India is self-reliant, and that makes it strong. And here's the big message itself. Reliance creates confidence. Confidence creates respect. Respect creates power. If you want to be truly strong, whether you are a person, a company, or a nation, stop depending on others for what matters most. Build your own. Own your future. That is the ultimate weapon. For thousands of years, power was built on fear. The strongest empires ruled because people were afraid of their armies, their weapons, their ability to destroy. But in the 21st century, the game has changed. Fear is no longer the foundation of strength. Today, knowledge is the real power. Why did the world feel shocked when American fighter jets were stopped at the Indian border? Because the old thinking still dominates many minds. With the nation with the biggest army, the most advanced jets, and the largest defense budget will always win. But the truth is different. The nation that invests in brains, not bombs, is the one that wins in the long run. Let me explain why. Weapons can destroy, but they cannot think. Knowledge, on the other hand, can create. Knowledge can adapt, innovate, and solve problems that weapons cannot. That is why the future belongs to those who are educated, those who learn, those who innovate, not those who intimidate. India's success is not accidental. It is the result of years of investment in education, in technology, in building a generation of engineers, scientists, and innovators. While many countries spend billions on weapons, India has focused on developing its IT industry, on creating a digital economy, on nurturing startups that are solving real-world problems. That same knowledge and talent now protect its borders. Fear is temporary. Knowledge is permanent. If you rule by fear, people will obey until they find a way to escape. But if you lead with knowledge, people will follow because they believe in your vision. Countries that try to dominate with fear, through sanctions, through military aggression, will not survive this century. The ones that thrive will be those who share knowledge, create partnerships, and invest in education. And this is not just a message for nations. It's a message for every young person listening. If you want to succeed, don't try to make people fear you. Make them respect you for your ideas, your skills, your creativity. Fear creates enemies. Knowledge creates opportunities. The incident at the border proves this. India didn't threaten anyone. It didn't show off its strength through aggression. It simply demonstrated its capability, quietly, confidently, and the world took notice. That's the power of knowledge. So, my friends, the future is not about who has the most missiles. It's about who has the most minds. Not about who controls resources, but who controls ideas. If you want to change your life, your company, your country, start learning, start thinking, start innovating. Because in the new world, the real battlefield is not land, air, or sea. It's the mind. And the victory will always belong to knowledge. My friends, what happened at the Indian border is not just a story about military strength. It is a story about transformation. It is a lesson for the world that power is no longer about fear. It is about intelligence, innovation, and independence. India showed that a nation does not need to shout to be heard. It does not need to intimidate to be respected. What it needs is confidence built on capability. That capability comes from knowledge, technology, and self-reliance. The future is clear. It will not belong to those who rely on weapons to control, but to those who rely on ideas to create. It will not belong to those who live in the past, but to those who learn, innovate, and adapt. So whether you are a student, an entrepreneur, or a leader, remember this: never depend on fear to succeed. Depend on knowledge. Never compete by being bigger. Compete by being smarter. If India can transform from a nation once called developing into a technological powerhouse that surprises the world, then you can transform your own life, your own business, your own future. All you need is education, innovation, and courage. The world has entered a new era, an era where the strongest minds, not the strongest weapons, will lead. So dream big, learn fast, work hard, and never stop innovating. Because that is the real power of the future. Thank you.